Okay, welcome to Skunk Work again. And today's project is, I'm going to show you the emblem right there, Skunk Work. Thank you for coming and watching our video. Today's project is this. Today's project is this one right here. Got a CAD drawing and it's kind of hard to see. It's real small, but that's what it is. I just drew it bigger. And they're just calling it a bracket. I don't know what it's for. But customer supply material, and it's D2. Now D2 is really tough. Hard to work with, so the best tool to use on D2 is Carbide. So we're going to be using a ray ground 5/8 Carbide, solid Carbide, and mill 4 fluter. And we got it. He wants 6, but there's no way to get 6 out of 36 inches. So we're going to do our best to try to get it. He wants 6 inches. They're 6 inches long, 36 inches. There's no room for cutting and facing, so the best you'll get is 5 pieces. So let's start cutting. Alright, so here's the material. Let's see if I can get it. Pretty heavy too. There you go. Alright, I'll get it open and we'll set it up on the mill. Alright, we're going to set up the mill right now. We use our Carbide end mill. 5/8 R8, call it. And slip it in there. Time the drawbar. Alright, so my vise is always square. So everything's square and perpendicular to the center of the shaft, the spindle here. And we're going to take our stock. Hold it down. Now, again, on the internet, this is another big problem I see. Is a quilt. Just because it has a lot of quilt doesn't mean you should use it. This creates a lot of vibration. So what you want is just a minimal. You don't need to have it all the way down. You want everything to be sturdy so there's no vibration and you get a nice clean cut. Instead of raising up the table, I guess they just lower the quilt down, which is not the correct way of doing it. Alright, so we're in the center of the end mill. Get our safety glasses. And then again, I already told you the story about the squirt bottle and the oil. It's the wrong way to do it. You have your own little canister there, cutting oil and acid brush. Again, this is for lubricating and wiping out the chips. And a little secret, you just take a WD can 40, cut it in half, and put a couple of magnets underneath, super glue. And I braced this little coupler in there, see, so I have to wipe it off in there, or I have to put my acid brush inside there. And that will work. All right, Didn't get the camera with oil, hopefully. See a little spot over there. And we'll start cutting. Running about 500 RPM. Turn on my DRO. Lock. Let's cut. Now, when you're using cutting oil, it helps lubricate it, keeps the sharpness of the end mill longer, and it creates a little bit of smoke, so that's why I have my fan here, and I'll turn on the fan. So I don't have to be smelling the fumes. It also keeps me cool because it's another hot day here in California. Zero it, going about 15,000. Now I'm using the acid brush to lubricate the end mill and knock out those chips. Alright, nice clean cut all the way across. Now that part is square. Now, some people will say, why don't you just take it to the bandsaw and just cut it? Cut your little blanks and then put them here and face them. Well, when you do that, you got to use more material because you got at least an 8 per side. That's a 1/4 inch. And then you're wasting more material. This way, I know this is already square and true. Cut my 6 inches, leave about 16 instead of 1/8. And I just have to machine the other side. This side's already done. Now I'm looking for my bird knife, so come back here, and here's the bird knife. Now the biggest problem with anything is birds. Birds are bad because they'll give you a false reading. They'll lift up a couple of degrees. You can't see it. And they'll make your part not square. So that's why I deburr it and then I take a sander on that emery cloth. Knock it out. On a 45-degree angle. You gotta remember this material is pretty heavy. we go. We're done. Wipe it so I don't get my hands dirty. I'll flip it over and do the other side. Make sure you wipe your vise. Again, you don't want to be clamping on any kind of chips. Okay, flip it. Do the other side. Lock it down and face it. Zero it. You get about 12,000 right there. Lubricate that and cut it clean and white. See how the fan blows the smoke away from me so I don't have to breathe it all day. Alright, there we go. Got a nice smooth finish. Now we gotta deburr it again. And then we go cut it. Okay, just a little sanding. All right, we'll get two here. So now we gotta mark it. So we'll come over here at the table. So we need 4.5 plus 1.5, that's 6. So we need 6 inches total overall length. So get a caliper, mark out 6 inches. And we're going to scribe a line so we know where to cut. Then we're going to use a little dicom here so we can see the line while we're cutting. Do that side. And we do the other side. And if, make sure we start our time we started here. That will be 10:20. Okay, rescribe. Alright, and now we'll go cut it on the bandsaw. Okay, so we're going to start cutting in pieces here. So there's my line. All I got to do is stay away from the line and I'll be good. For D2 material, it's cutting pretty good. Almost like butter. Alright, there's the first cut. To see the line, the scratch line, and the blue. Wipe it down so you don't scratch the material because it's already precision ground stock. So let's try to avoid all scratches. Okay, so some of you guys are wondering why am I cutting it on the bandsaw? For several reasons. One, this is D2, it's very hard. If you're asking why am I not using the power horizontal saw, well, it's simple. One,
I would have to slow down the gear ratio to cut D2. You cannot cut it in high speed. You have to slow the machine down low to about 60 to 80 RPMs, okay? It's very easy to do that on the bandsaw. Alright, second, when you cut in your horizontal, it doesn't always cut straight. It cuts at an angle, so you're losing material right there. And third, it takes too long. Time is money. You can see here, this is live, real time, and you can see how fast the bandsaw is cutting this hard material, D2. So this is the reason why I chose to cut it on the bandsaw and not on the power saw. And it's all because of time, okay? Time is money. Always remember that.
Alright, cut the second one, and now we just gotta repeat everything and get our blanks. Alright, here we go. Start the second one, second set. It's 32,000 right there. Alright, now some of you are probably wondering, why do I cut forward and come back? Well, when I'm cutting forward, the cutter's cutting in a clockwise motion. Clockwise. The part is coming towards the cutter, so that is called climb cutting. When the cutter is going clockwise and the material is going the same direction as the cutter, that's conventional milling. They're both going the same direction. You get a little better cutter finish by conventional cutting than you do with climb milling. Climb milling, you have to take a heavier cut. When you're coming back the other way, conventional cutting, it gives you a better finish, but If you're not careful, it'll have a tendency to grab and pull it, and then it will just walk all over it, making it really bad. Scar marks. And you damage the cutter. So you got to be careful when you're going the same direction as your cutter.
Now, something here I want you to take a look. Look at the condition of the vise. I'm talking about chips, filth. You don't see a big mess. When you see other people cutting in the milling machine, you notice that such a mess and they work in filth. So I don't understand why people work like that. You know, it makes no sense to, not unless that's the type of person that you are. You just like working in filth. You just see here, it doesn't take that much time to clean the machine. To have a clean vise when you're clamping it, you're not scarring your material by clamping chips, by squeezing the jaws of the vise and chips onto your material, indenting them. You know, pay attention to that when you watch these other YouTubers and people doing their work. Look how they operate. Are they filthy or are they precision and showing you good work ethics? You know, pay attention to that when you watch other people's videos.
Alright, I'll see you at the bandsaw. Almost done. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so what we need is 6 inches. And this is what we short. So the customer can only get 5. He wanted 6, but he's gonna get 5 only. Alright, I'll see you back at the mill. Alright, we finished cutting our 5 blanks. We got 5, we couldn't get 6. They're 6 inches long, it's already the size. The width is 3 inches, it's already the size. The width is 3/4. That's already the size. So now what we're going to do is lay out our holes. Actually, this is kind of big here. I have to call the customer, see if he wants that cut down. So if you hold up, I'll call the customer and find out about the thickness. Alright, just called the customer and he wants it all trimmed down to size. We got plus 13,000, so we got to remove 13,000 to bring down to size. So it's more work, but I have no choice.
Alright, the next step you see here will be about fly cutting. So that's not part of the video here. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that part of the fly cutting. Now, you can see here, this is what I do. The C-17. You see the cargo plane there? That's where I do all my work from, for Boeing. And I wanted to introduce you to my book collection here. I write books to get income here. So you can see here I have the basketball book. This is about all games that people could play with rules. And these are some of these are what I invented. I invented these basketball games with the rules in there. The next book I have is growing blueberries, cultivating blueberries. And, you know, for my other channel that you guys know, I do a lot of gardening work and I grow blueberries. I specialize in. This book will tell you everything you need to know to be successful in growing blueberries. Alright, the next one is The forklift, how to get your license to drive a forklift, get a job in a warehouse. You need to pass this book to get the forklift license. Alright, and then the final one is my fifth book. I just put this out, and it's about talking about the Generation Z and how to succeed. And this one is basically based off of business. You know, I'm a business guy, and a lot of my stuff is based on business. This tells you when you get a roadblock in front of you, business-wise, how to get around that obstacle. And this book will help you in that. It's priced very low and cheap, so you guys can take advantage of that. Alright? It's one of my lowest priced books, but the quality and information is the highest. Alright, so I appreciate you guys watching. I would ask you guys take advantage and ask me questions, because a lot of you are not doing that. And so, you know, take the opportunity I'm offering you here. I got a world of experience. I got over 35 years of experience in machining and business. You know, you guys are not taking advantage of that. Alright, so let me know in the comments if you want to get my book. Tell me, hey, I'm going to buy your book. It's on KDP on Amazon. Just go to Amazon and type in there books by J.C. Flores, and you'll get all my books that I have available. Alright, so I appreciate that. Let me know if you want to see the fly cutting, and I'll show you the fly cutting. Alright, take care.
I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming.